Welcome, everyone, to another episode of MSI Music Scene Investigation. We're glad you're here with us, and just hope that you understand that the chat's not working today. It won't be working today. If it does, you're lucky. Problem with that has been that the site that we do broadcasting through, Justin TV, have been revamping their site, adding some and changing around the back-end code of it. And it's been causing some problems with the chat. They say they're going to have it fixed next week. So until then, sit back, enjoy the music, enjoy the show, and we'll have the chat back up and running whenever they get it up and running. That's the best I can do for you. So I apologize up front. Now, MSI is a music show. We take and promote and premiere independent artists from around the world by reviewing their music that they submit to us. If you are an indie artist anywhere in the world, want to have your music reviewed by our industry experts, very easy to do. Go over to musicsceneinvestigation.com, click the Submit a Song button at the top of the page, and sign up and send your music to us. And we'll have our panelists review it. Every week, we select 3 songs at random for review by our panelists, and this week is no exception. We have 2 in-house panelists and 1 guest panelist join us every week. Our in-house panelists have been in the music biz for quite some time, starting out with Tom Chianti, who is a recording engineer by trade and an all-around nice guy, just, you know, because he's around. So let's meet Tom. Tom, how are you today? I know you've been ill, but I certainly hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel much better. I've been fighting a cold that just, as I pull the air in, that been kicking the heck out of me. And this morning, on this morning's, on another webcast, I sort of got fuzzy, and I don't mean my beard.
Yeah, you didn't look too good this morning, but you're looking a lot better now.
Well, you know, it's smoke mirrors, makeup.
I forget. Your people don't work the morning shift. They only work the afternoon.
Yeah, and then it's always tomorrow afternoon.
Right, gotcha. Well, you're looking much better, my friend. I'm glad you're with us, and look forward to what you have to say about today's music.
Okay, so far...
No, not yet, after you hear it.
Oh, after I hear it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Our next in-house panelist is from London, England, and boy, are his arms tired. Ian Husbands is a musician, a producer, a PR guy as well as an author. So we're happy to have him. Ian, glad to see you again as well, sir. How are you?
Always pleased to be here, Rich. I'm good. I've had a day trialling the iPad and a Tascam XZI today.
So you were doing what with those 2 devices?
Well, the Tascam XZI is an audio interface for the iPad. Mm-hmm. It's got line-in for guitars, or it's got mic-ins with phantom power as well, which is all done by battery. And yeah, it goes into the headphone jack rather than the dock connection as well, which is quite cool. And it allows you to plug headphones in and monitor what you're doing at the same time. And I've been sort of playing with that and my ukulele and GarageBand on the iPad. It's been fun.
So you were just in a mobile studio kind of state of mind and recording anywhere you were?
Well, yeah, I got the Tascam a while ago, after I got the iPad, and haven't had a chance to sort of sit down and use it yet. So I thought today would be the day.
Well, good.
And it's wicked. It's wicked. Well worth buying. Tascam XZI.
Well, maybe
audio interface for the iPad.
Maybe when you finish your work, you'll submit it to MSI, and we can have a listen.
I'm not allowed.
Well, we can get a whole show with guest panelists to review your music and Tom's music.
I think we should do it.
No.
What do you reckon? And your music, Rich, as well.
Well, I'm just saying it would be a unique opportunity.
We need 3 songs, so that'll be one of mine, one of Tom's, and one of yours. Let's do it.
You up for that, Tom?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Tom's up for anything. He doesn't care. Thanks, guys, for being with us. Just
I don't know
I,
what I agreed to.
I just
said
just throw this stuff out there and hope they say yes. Our guest panelist today has been with us before, joining us on the 27th of March of last year. We're happy to have him back. In fact, gentleman I worked with for a number of years in radio. He went on to bigger and better things, and I'm stuck here. But I'm glad to have him with us, I got to say. Ken Scott is that voice guy. Ken, pleasure to have you back again.
Well, thanks. I think it's all a relative term. You say bigger and better things. Some might disagree.
Well, no,
But it's good to be back.
I got to tell you, though, we were talking a bit prior to going to air today about some of the things you've been doing. And last time we talked, we mentioned the Polar Bears project that you were working with Coca-Cola. And we also talked about the Finding Bigfoot series that you were voicing. Right. In my opinion, and I actually happened to take the time and watch some of the Bigfoot series and find it to be a fascinating show. I don't know why they call it the Squatch, though. I take offense to that term. But,
yeah, right.
You know, but I found your work there to be very, very cool. The only thing I really wondered as to why you did it is there was one phrase in there that you use constantly, and you're dropping a letter on the word, and I can't remember what it was.
Uh-oh. Well, I need to find out.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It just sounds kind of funny.
I'd blame the gating. Blame the gating where they've recorded you. That's what it is.
That could be. It very well could be a gate issue.
Yeah,
but
it's a final consonant. Is that what it is?
No, it didn't have anything to do with. It was when you were actually going out to commercial. You know, the phrase you use on that.
Oh, it's that phrase is coming up. That's it.
No, there was something else. I'll find it and I'll let you know. I'll drop you an email on it.
That's cool.
But
you weren't saying Finding Big Foo, were you?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Just a thought.
No. Yeah, I don't think that's it, though.
No, it wasn't it. Now, you've got a new project you've been working on. This is really a cool spot. I actually saw this with Richard Branson. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a pretty cool spot.
That really was. I guess a couple of months ago, I was asked to audition for a spot for Virgin Mobile, which is a wireless carrier here in the U.S. Well, I think actually worldwide. But for their marketing for the U.S., they asked me to audition for a spot, and I got the gig. And it was for a great, I wish I could remember the director. It's actually a semi-famous director who made this spot. But it's for those in the U.S. Watching the show today, it's for Virgin Mobile, and it's a spot that features Richard Branson. Of course, actors portraying him as a child from a toddler up through school and college and to the current age, which is actually him at the end of the spot, pretending to float on one of his Virgin Galactic spaceships. But yeah, many people have seen it. It was on 5 major networks and ran for, I don't know, until just recently. Of course, it may still be on. I just haven't seen it. But yeah, very fun spot, and I narrate the spot from beginning to end. And with the exception of a few places where the actors on screen come in and say some things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a very fun spot. And I don't know if it's okay, but I can give the website where people can see it if they want to see it.
Yeah, please do.
Well, I say I know the website. I don't know the actual URL, but it's Virgin Mobile, probably virginmobile.com, but it's the U.S. version because they have obviously sites for all the different countries around the planet where they have service. So yeah, check the and then on that page you should see an image of what appears to be a teenage or college age version of Richard Branson, which is basically a redheaded kid with braces and headgear. And you click on that, and you can see the spot.
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at it now. I'm just going to try. I don't know if I can actually bring it up. Let me see here. I don't think I can. Gosh, that's terrible. Well,
hang about. Don't go playing Virgin ads unless they're going to pay us for it.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. But it is a very cool spot, and you're the voice over it, and it's just an honest-to-goodness cool thing to see and hear. So.
Well, thank you. And, you mentioned Finding Bigfoot. I had forgotten. It's something else I could have mentioned. Not as big of a deal, but through the same production company that I do that for, I recently started voicing a show called Finding UFOs, which is going to be on Nat Geo. I hope it hasn't started yet because they haven't told me, but it's going to be a very similar format to Finding Bigfoot.
Well, that's going to be my new favorite show then.
Yeah. Well, see, I remember that you had at least a small thing for UFOs, so I thought this might be something you'd be interested in.
Well, are you telling me, Ken? Are you honestly saying that you took this show, you went out and did the grueling audition and accepted the for me? Is that what you're saying?
More or less, because the pay was not quite as well, not as good as it was for Bigfoot. It pays about half. But there's so many UFO shows out there. I guess I can forgive them this time. But I think that they have limited expectations for the show because of the mass number of UFO shows there are scattered across the Learning Channel stations. There's so many of them.
So Ken, are they real? Are they real?
UFOs?
Yeah.
Of course they are, because as everyone knows, a UFO is simply an unidentified flying object. Yes, they are real.
All right. What are they?
Unidentified.
They're unidentified. Now, we know for a fact that at least one of them contain aliens, and we know this because I remember watching that episode of The $6 Million Man as a kid, where the aliens came down and brought us Bigfoot. So we have like a little a tie-in there. Bigfoot. Go ahead.
That's perfect. It's an offshoot. It's an offshoot series then.
Well, people don't remember it, but Bigfoot is actually an alien robot.
That's
because
true.
You remember Steve Austin, the character from The $6 Million Man, actually ripped his arm off.
When they had the room that spun round and round and made everybody nauseous. The tunnel.
I don't
thing.
remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
No, that was they had the tunnel that spun round and made everybody nauseous, and he met Bigfoot in there. That may have been one where they had the $6 Million Man and the $6 Million Woman both battling
Could
Bigfoot. Be. Yeah.
Well, you were making me
polar
nauseous
bears
just
came
talking
in.
about it. Yeah, the polar bears were next. But a little trivia on that. Do you know who played Bigfoot in that episode? See, now we're in the real world.
do.
We've got to talk about the actors. You do? You do know? Well,
It's
of course you would.
the same guy who played Jaws in Moonraker.
I think you're wrong.
I don't know his name, though.
Actually, there were two people who played him over the course of those shows, because he actually made multiple appearances. You're right, on The Bionic Woman as well. The original one, was Andre the Giant.
Oh, real? Okay, yeah, I was wrong then.
Yeah. The second one, I forget his name, but it was the guy who played Lurch on The Addams Family.
I'll be darned.
Right.
Yeah, and he actually made more appearances. Andre the Giant was the original one, and he just made the one appearance, and then after that it was Lurch.
And
Anyway.
Here I thought Bigfoot just went on a diet to lose all that weight.
Yeah. He did get a little thinner. There's a little bit of difference in the anatomy of those two actors for sure.
You know, to go off on your story and add another story onto this, back during that time period, after that episode of The $6 Million Man had aired, a friend of my parents had come over and wanted my mother to create a Halloween costume for him. And the Halloween costume was a Bigfoot outfit. So
Right.
she spent 6 months sewing yarn into T-shirts and leggings and fraying yarn to make this Bigfoot costume for this guy. This guy's about 6'7",
Wow.
340 pounds, just a ginormous guy. And when it was all done, he looked just like the Bigfoot in the television show.
That's dedication. 6 months for a Halloween costume. That's crazy, is what it is. But,
It really is, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the family I come from. They're all nuts.
That's
Yeah,
about
I
1
just-
foot 1 inch a month.
Yeah. The mathematician over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doing the maths.
Yeah, well,
And what did he weigh? How much he weighed? What?
about 340.
Oh wow! Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a pretty healthy guy.
Yeah.
And so besides the UFO series, what do you got coming up, Ken? What more can we look forward to?
Well, that's a good. Oh well, I am also doing some national promos on PBS for. If anybody watches PBS, for what's the famous detective, British detective? Help me out here.
Sherlock Holmes.
Thank you. Good Lord. My memory is terrible. Sherlock Holmes.
Where were you, Ian? Come on, man. You should have got that one.
I was letting you have a go, Rich.
Oh, well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And of course, I think that
elementary, dear Watson.
if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I think that show is actually produced by the BBC. I'm not sure. It just rebroadcast through PBS, but I don't know. But anyway, I'm doing national promos for that series. So if you watch PBS, you'll hear me on that as well. But other than that, no, I just sit around the house and eat bacon and watch Jerry Springer. That's about it.
A guy's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well,
You have my job.
At least you're not eating Jerry Springer and watching bacon, because that would be perverse.
That would be boring.
That would be. It'd be something to get you thrown in jail, too. Well, Ken, we're glad to have you back with us. I'll tell you, it's always good. And I've got to tell you, I hope you guys like the songs today as well. I'm not going to say they're good or bad. I just hope you like them. So let's get to it. Let's start the day off right and give a listen to song number 1 on today's MSI. Here we go, guys.
Tiada cahaya yang dapat
There it is, song number one on today's MSI. Let's head over to Ian and find out what he thought about song number one. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, the intro sort of captivated me, and then I thought that went on a little bit too long. I felt the vocals should have come in sooner. But overall, I mean, it goes into quite a well-mixed, well-performed piece. But it kind of, overall to me, was a little bit flat. There was no real dynamic to the track. It all just sort of sat in the same place. No use. I mean, I found the production quite 80s. The sound of the guitars, that sort of edgy U2 sound. The synth pads, I found them a little bit too dominating in the mix, and with a very 80s sound on them. I like the drum sound, even though the drum sound was very live. I did like it. It worked in this context. And the guitars that were playing left and right in each channel, they weren't in sync as much as they could have been at times, and they really were starting to clash in places. Vocals were good, but they were just nice, and that I didn't understand the language. Wouldn't want to take a guess at where they were from, but I would say that, you know, because I wasn't understanding the lyrics, I was having to understand the melody and the performance of the vocal, and I didn't get anything from the performance of the vocal. It was just nice, and I didn't feel there was any sort of emotive quality in there. Nice use of harmonies and backing vocals like that. And I would have personally taken the solo, which they use as an outro, brought that into the song, because it did get a bit boring, just the vocal keeping it over and over from the verse to chorus. I brought that solo sooner into the song and maybe finished on a chorus or something like that, and brought the song to an end. It's a slight change of arrangement. It was nice. It was a nice song. It needs a lot of work dynamically. I would like to hear some updated production on the sound. I don't like that edge sound on the guitar. Pull them synths back, maybe a bit more of a modern sound on them. And I think there's a goodish track there, but it's a good demo.
All right, I appreciate that, Ian. Thank you so much. And Tom, what do you think of number one?
Well, even though I hate to admit it, I agree with a lot of what Ian said. The synths were a little too dominating, and the chorusing on the synths, the guitar seemed out of tune when the two played together. I don't know whether the guitar was actually out of tune for the first take, or it was just beating against the synths, which were a little too forward in the mix. In the beginning intro, the vocal was kind of lost. I didn't realize it was a different language until the second or third line. So you got the importance is of the intro line is you know, as important as the vocal is, the entrance is even more important. And you've got to make sure that first line is heard above all, and not say, oh, I got to bring it up as you're printing your master. This was a good demo. The melody was a little redundant and simplistic, but it was nice, like Ian said. There's nothing really too offensive about it. It was done well. I don't know if those drums were live or programmed, but they sounded a little mechanical and a little too snappy. Maybe a different, a more impressive vocal sound would have, you know, you could hear the phone ring in the song, which I didn't like because the guy never answered it. Yeah, it was nice. It's a decent demo. Mm-hmm. They really should work on the mixes and get the priorities in order on what's going to, you know, whether the synths are going to be in the forefront or the guitars, and then mix accordingly.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you so much. And let's find out what Ken thought. Ken, what do you think of song number one?
Does anybody really care what I think? I mean, honestly.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have you on if we didn't.
Well, that makes me feel better. All right. Well, in case you didn't know, that actually, the language, which no one could seem to peg, it was a Mandarin Hispano-Celtic mix is what that was.
I
just
would.
in case you didn't know.
I was going to guess that.
Yeah, Mandarin Hispano-Celtic. You look it up. It's actually a great new genre. I think it's going to be the next big thing. I like the smooth vocals. I'm actually a big fan of that kind of sound. Remember that old song, Jennifer Juniper? I forget who sang it. Even though it's not exactly the same kind of sound, it just had that real 80s easy listening kind of sound that actually Ian mentioned earlier. I actually like that. I'm a child of the 80s. And I was one of the few kids, while everyone else was driving around listening to Alice Cooper on the radio, I would listen to the easy listening station. But I was a strange child. Anyway, I like the occasional harmonies. I have to say that there was maybe once or twice in the first time the harmonies picked up where it felt like maybe it was a little flat in a couple of spots. Maybe not. It could have been just my ears. But after that, it seemed all the harmonies worked out really well, and I thought they did a really nice job. I don't know if it was the same guy doing harmonies with himself or if it was another voice, but I thought that was done well. Mixing fine. I think it's commercial ready for whatever country it is from. China, any of the Hispanic countries, or of course Ireland.
Of course.
Of course Ireland. And like I said, it's got that 80s feel that Ian mentioned, a real nice, easy listening. I didn't mind that it didn't have a lot of dynamic range because my blood pressure went down 4 points in the first 15 seconds. It was great. So I liked it.
Mandarin Hispanic Celtic.
Well, yeah, you have to pronounce it Hispano-Celtic.
Oh, Hispano-Celtic. Okay.
I don't know why. You just have to say it that way.
I've got to write that down. Seriously. All right, now I'm gonna hold you to this one, Ken. Believe me. We'll see.
You'll find out that I'm right. Just trust me on it.
We'll find out if in the next year Mandarin Hispano-Celtic is going to be the big thing. So we'll find out.
You heard it here first.
That's exactly right, and I've documented it so we can hold you to it.
Okay.
All right. Let me introduce that track to everybody. The track itself is called Samar, S-A-M-A-R. It's by a group called The Clouds. So we're happy they sent that to us. Samar from The Clouds. And thanks for sending that in, guys. And we'll find out how it goes throughout the rest of the show. Now, gentlemen, we've got 2 more songs to listen to. Before we do, however, I want to remind everybody about our friends over at Butterflies Radio. Kids over at Butterflies Radio, Mark and Carol, do a great show on Tuesday nights. I really think you'll enjoy it if you give it a listen. In fact, you can listen to it on Music Scene Investigation Radio. We simulcast it live. It's called Twitter Tuesday Live. It's Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's an interview show. These guys bring in indie artists that appear on Butterflies Radio and on MSI Radio and interview these guys for 2 hours. They'll sit down with them, talk about music, talk about life, talk about what they would take with them to a desert island if they were so stranded. So it's a really cool gig. Certainly hope you tune into it. You can go to butterfliesradio.com or right here on our site, MSI Radio. It's Music Scene Investigation /radio. It's very easy to find. Gentlemen, are you ready for song number 2? I know I am.
Dami Origato.
All right. That was part of that Mandarin Hispano-Celtic thing. You're a quick learner, Tom.
I pick up the
I gotcha. Here we go, guys. Here's song number 2 on today's MSI.
Can't you see it's the last time to take a ride? Can't you see it's a must?
Song number 2 on today's MSI. Let's go to Tom, find out what he thought. Tom, your thoughts on number 2?
Well, I got very interested and excited at the intro. Everything sounded really good. All the instrumentation well played. The instrumentation was well balanced. But again, then the vocal came in and I was let down. It was very low in the beginning. It was brought up a little bit towards the end. But still very low. And I would have gone with a different vocal sound, something more edgier, maybe a little distorted. Doesn't have to be super distorted, just something with an edge on it, you know, to really make it cut through. And it should really, I mean, the size of everything else was great. The vocal was so small, though. It sounded like he was a tiny midget playing with this big drum kick bass band. And, and it wasn't in Celtic.
No, it wasn't. No Celtic for that one. Thank you very much, Tom. Let's go to the expert on Mandarin, Hispano-Celtic. Let's talk to Ken and find out what he thought about number 2.
Well, I don't mean to correct you, Rich, but I'm not just an expert on Mandarin Hispano-Celtic music, but international music in general.
Oh, okay. My fault. I didn't get your new business card.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I've made so many concert spots over the years. I've heard it all. Anyway, to the business at hand, most of my stuff is basically agreeing with Tom. I've never been a huge fan of this kind of music, as we learned with the last song. That's not, well, while my classmates were listening to more of this, heavy stuff, the Alice Cooper kind of stuff, I was listening to the previous song. But to this, I have to say that there are a lot of bands like this here around India, and maybe around the country. This may be just a popular thing. Some of my sons have actually had their friends who have bands come into my little studio and try to record, and they sound just, in my opinion, just as good as what I heard. And that's not to knock what I just heard. It's just that it, to me, seems to be a kind of music that's not that hard to master. You don't have to have a great voice. Like Tom said, you just need something edgy, something harsh and whatever. But I've never been a huge fan because, to me, the vocals they're just too lost in the music. It's almost like they treat it like just another instrument. Like it's not important what they're saying. They're just another instrument. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know. But I couldn't tell you if the mix was good. I guess it was, depending on what they wanted. These bands, I think, are probably better live because they're jumping around the stage and probably wearing strange outfits, and so they're probably more about what you see than what you hear. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that they were bad because they're not. It's just not my cup of tea, to use a British term.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that, Ken. Ian, what do you think? You are a British guy. Use all the British terms you want.
Well, this would be my cup of tea, darling, if I could hear the bloody vocals. I mean, Come on, guys. Really, I mean, that is the biggest thing wrong with this track. It has got a great bass sound. I love the bass sound. The drums are big and huge behind them. That's fantastic. Guitars, massive. Great tone, great performances all round. Everything's kicking. And then the vocal doesn't come in, does it, really? It sort of just sits underneath everything else. And from what I can hear, it sounds like the guy has got a cool voice. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the greatest singing voice, but he does what he does really well. And I love the attitude that I could sort of hear coming through, and that it's got that kind of Velvet Revolver feel to it for me. And I like the Velvet Revolver, so that's a good thing. The arrangement was strong. It was a down and dirty chorus. I liked that a lot. Real full, high energy. I mean, this has got everything going for it, except for a vocal, which you can't hear. And that's what, you know, as Ken was saying, I want to hear that vocal. I want to hear what he's got to say. I want to hear, you know, what sort of vocals backing up this dirty, big, heavy riff and these pounding drums. I want to know what it's all about.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Thank you very much, Ian. Let me introduce that track to everybody. The track's name is called Saturated. It's saturated by Cable 35. We appreciate
Saturated by guitars.
well, Saturated is the name of the track. Cable 35, the artist. We appreciate their sending that into Music Scene Investigation. Again, you want your track reviewed by our panelists. Very easy to do. Go to musicsceneinvestigation.com. Hit the Submit a Song link. There you'll find out all the information you need to know. Gentlemen, are you ready for our third and final track of the day?
Let's listen.
All right, let's do listen. Here is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. That's song number 3 on today's MSI. We've got to go over to Ken Scott first, that voice guy. What do you think, Ken, on number 3?
Well, it seems like every time you have me on this show that you always give me the most difficult song to be first
That's
to
my
critique.
job.
See, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something, either I like it or I hate it, and the other two guys are going to go the opposite direction, and they're going to be right because they're the experts, and I'm going to feel like a complete fool. But let's just do it. My first word, and really, I tried to take notes this time because the last couple of times not taking notes didn't really serve me well. For this song, I had a difficult time writing down notes. The only thing I wrote down was interesting and liked. Okay, I thought it was very interesting. I liked the sound effect type music at the beginning. I don't know what you call that, but yeah. And unlike song number 2, I thought the vocals were better mixed. I could hear what they were saying. Something about a message from hell, I think. I'm not sure if I got what the message was, but that's okay. It wasn't for me anyway. But yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it. It was. I keep using the word interesting. This would be the second or third time I've said it, but it was interesting, and that for me is a good thing, because with music, that's important. It needs to be interesting. I thought the vocals were good. The mix, I think, was good, and the instruments and the music itself, I thought was good. Is good? Good's an okay word to use, right?
Good is a fine word to use.
I could say fabulous, or what's the big adjective that they use in Britain all the time? Doctor Who. What's it? No, I'll get it in a second.
Wicked.
It's wicked.
Man.
Yes, wicked is one, but no, it's Doctor Who uses it all the time.
Stupendous.
No, that's not it. I'll think of it and interrupt somebody in a minute, I'm sure.
That'll be good.
Awesome.
But anyway, I thought, that's an American one. Sorry.
Excellent.
Excellent. No, that's not it either. It'll come to me. But anyway.
I know what the word
liked
was.
it.
The word is interesting.
Interesting is my word. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm confused.
Yeah, no, interesting is my word. And if I were on an episode of Doctor Who, I would know what it is I'm trying to think of. But that's okay. That's okay. But no, I like the song, and I'll just leave it there and listen to the experts tell everybody what it really means.
All right. Well, you are one of those experts, Ken, so don't sell yourself short.
I'm an expert, but these guys have the ins and outs of it, the technical parts much better, of course.
All right. So, well, let's go to Ian, find out what he thought. Ian, maybe you can figure out what that British word is. Yeah, that was it. What'd you think?
The Queen.
No, the song.
Oh, right. Oh, the song? I don't want to review the Queen. That would be terrible. Anyway, on the song, nice ambience in the intro. Liked that. Didn't expect it to go where it went, but that's kind of cool. I'm kind of with that. That guitar sound, that was obviously MIDI or sampled from somewhere, and it was very thin, and I didn't like it. Being a sort of guitar fan, that needs some work, needs a bit more balls in it. I mean, it was an interesting song. It was very creative. It was almost like Gary Newman, Depeche Mode, and Nine Inch Nails had a love child in the 80s. Which kicked out with this. It was quite catchy. It was very groovy. The lyrics were a little obvious, but it had some nice movements in it. I'm just not sure if I liked the production on it, to be honest. As I said, the guitar sounds were thin and sounded MIDI-ish or badly sampled. I liked the vocal layering. The vocal layering was very tight, and I find that a big problem with a lot of things we get submitted to MSI is the vocals aren't quite tight enough, but they were really tight on this. Except for that there was a little backing vocal that kept coming in saying "their bells," and it's sort of like down the line. It was "their bells," and it was as clear and as dry and as normal as it could have been, except for a bit of reverb. When you've got so much going on in that track, that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me. It was like an afterthought. So, I've got to shove a backing vocal in there, quick bit of reverb, bit of compression, job done. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. You know, it's a little thing, but it stuck out of the whole mix for me as being out of place, where it could have been put back into that mix, maybe some effects put in it, run it through an amp, do the obvious thing, or some chorus or some phasing or something like that, just to fit it in with the rest of the production. I did think the whole track was a bit too vocal heavy, actually, because there was some nice drum sounds going on there, but they were getting drowned out, and I think it wasn't necessarily a volume issue with the vocal. It's just his voice was quite low, and he was kind of sort of speaking more than singing. And I think he needs to sort of concentrate on the EQ, especially towards the bottom end of his vocals, sort of rip some of that out, make way for the sort of lower frequencies on all the other instruments. But yeah, it was interesting. It was creative. I like the groove. It was quite catchy, but I don't know if it's my kind of music.
All right, fair enough, Ian. Thank you very much. And Tom, what do you think of number 3?
It was vocal heavy, probably mixed by the vocalist. A good vocal sound, but the drums were doing something very interesting with tom rolls, and they were getting lost. This is the exact opposite of the song before, where the vocal sound is excellent and everything else is too small. That's what I think might be Ian's problem with the guitars, that they were too small, too set back. As far as that background part, yeah, it could have been a last-minute thing, but they should have really, they're so creative with whatever else they were doing, they should have spent a little more time on, making a telephone voice or a distorted voice or something interesting on it. Because the rest of the song is very, as Ken said, interesting. They took a different direction. I thought it was going to be a synth-heavy type of thing, but it went into more rockish direction, which was cool. I like the mix of the genres. The mix of the song, however, it's a matter of balance and size, where everything else was too small and too low. It could have been, it's like they had the vocal on one fader and everything else on the other, and they had it all blended and balanced right, and then the engineer turned around and his elbow hit the vocal level way up and forgot to raise the rest of this. This happens sometimes when you mix low. Sometimes the vocal gets put too loud, and then when you mix loud, then the vocal gets very piercing, and you put it low. Mm-hmm. So, these two engineers should get together and duke it out. And Ian can be the rap.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and get it together. I liked it, though, despite that. But it did leave me wanting to hear more of the instruments, which was a little frustrating. But as a whole, it's passable. I guess that's about it. I'd call it passable, but interesting.
All right, so 3 interestings. There you go. Got it.
Is that word you were looking for, Ken? Brilliant?
Brilliant. That's the word.
Brilliant it is. Okay.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Brilliant, we found that. Brilliant.
Yeah. Brilliant, mad, and mental. Those are my 3 favorite British adjectives.
No, you got to say it properly. Mental.
Yeah. Are you mental?
We lose control of this show so easily. You see how it works, but
and so often, Rich. We must...
so often. You're exactly right. Exactly. That song is called, of course, y'all knew it, "Message from Hell." The band's name is Latent Anxiety. Latent Anxiety with "Message from Hell." We appreciate that song being sent in to us at Music Scene Investigation. Thank you very much. Now, before we get into the guys and their vote on the Song of the Week, I want to remind everybody and invite you to join Ian and myself on Indie Inquest every Wednesday afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 p.m. GMT. It's a little show where we bring music news and a little bit about technology and a whole lot of fun to indie artists. News you can use on Indie Inquest Wednesday evenings, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 p.m. GMT. That's on Music Scene Investigation Radio. You go to musicsceneinvestigation.com, click on the radio button, and you're there. Now, gentlemen, the dreaded time of the week when you all have the extra duty to do of selecting a Song of the Week. I leave it to you and your infinite wisdom.
Huh?
Huh?
Does this thing work?
Yeah, you got to decide amongst yourselves.
Hello, lady.
I'm in the middle. Does that make me Mo?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so I'm the leader.
You can go first.
Okay, I was trying to hit him on the head and it didn't work. Well, I don't know if I want to go first. Honestly, I can't say that I was that any song stood out so much that it was a clear winner for me. I will have to say that I like the first and the third song best of the three. The first is more my cup of tea, but the third one was so interesting, I'm really kind of torn. I guess what I'm going to have to do here, do I have a coin? No, I'm just going to go with the interesting song. Even though my personal preference would be to probably listen to the first song if I'm trying to figure out what is the best song, and that's, so difficult to do and be fair. I probably would go with song 3. I think so. But it wasn't head and shoulders better than everything else. I just think it was by a nose.
It was the most interesting song.
You know what? Now that you mention it, yes.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. That's so mad and mental. I don't know.
Ian, Tom, what do you think, guys?
They're just laughing. That's great.
Since Ian probably wants to go last, as usual, have the last word. I'll take second spot and say, for me, it's between the second and third song. I love the sound of the second song, but the vocals were buried, making it very frustrating. But they did come up a little in the end as a saving grace. The third song is very well produced, but it was frustrating for me not to hear those drums. So I'm going to have to say number 2, because it had you could hear the instruments, and eventually you got to hear the vocal. But like Ken said, it's more by an ear or a nose or a foot or a swatch.
Okay. All right. So we have one for song number 2, one for song number 3. Incidentally, when the chat room is up and running, I'm getting votes from them. We've got a vote for song number 1 and a vote for song number 3 in there. Ian, what do you think on your selection?
You see, I was hoping Tom was going to go for number 3 and make it easy on me again. But this week he's gone the other direction. You see, I love number 2. It's driving, it's high energy, the guitars sound great, the drums sound great, the bass sounds great. It's just a full-on song. But I can't hear what it's about, and that, for me, really sort of takes something away from that track. Number 3 is so creative, and it needs some attention, but it's very well done. Not really my cup of tea like number 2 is. But, we're an indie music show, and that is indie music, let's face it. I mean, it's very sort of fresh in its sort of sound now, if that makes sense. And, I'm going to go with... Sorry, Ken, I'm going to go with Tom, number 2.
That's okay. I can't win them all.
After all that, he goes with number 2. All right, there you have it. Song number 2, Saturated by Cable 35. It's going to be our song of the week. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Ken, appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing your new broadcast, Finding UFOs on...
Chasing UFOs.
Chasing UFOs, I'm sorry.
You got to run real fast.
National Geographic, Nat Geo.
Right.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for being with us, Ken. Appreciate that. If you want to know more about Ken, head over to thatvoiceguy.com. You can hear and see everything he does there. Not everything, right?
Not everything.
Yeah.
Some things, sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Ken. Thank you very much. Ian,
Pleasure.
Tom, thank you as well. Appreciate the fact that you guys hang out with us here every week, too.
Who have we got next week, Rich?
We're brilliant.
Oh, who is that?
I honestly don't know who we have on next week, Ian. Why don't you let me know? Tell us all.
It is the lovely Andrea Bensmiller.
Great. I know that Tom has been asking me every time we get together, when we're going to have Andrea back with us.
Yes, I think she's a very interesting personality, has a lot to say and says it, and knows her stuff. And
she's not nearly as interesting as Ken, though. You got to say that.
My feelings were beginning to get a little hurt, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But completely different. It's apples and donkeys.
Just don't tell me she's prettier than I am, and I'll be okay.
I'm sorry, Ken. I'm going to have to hurt your feelings. And
Tom Chianti, the most honest guy in show business. What are you going to do?
There you go.
Yeah, Ian, you were saying.
I don't want to start any rumours, but I mean, I just want to sort of say that people should be looking out very soon for maybe a new show involving the Song of the Week artists where we sort of do a monthly vote. That's what I want to say.
All right. Well, we won't give it away then, Band of the Month or anything like that. So you'll have to stay tuned to find out more about that. Until then, we're going to play out with Cable 35. What's that, Tom?
I'm surprised the secrecy guys didn't break in behind Ian through the door and put a bag over his head and just drag him away for letting that loose.
Yeah, they're on their way. They're on their way. We're going to play out with Cable 35 song Saturated right here on MSI. Thanks for joining us again, everyone. We'll see you next time on Music Scene Investigation.